What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G.S. and Matthews, break down all the original content you watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the Superfan documentary, The Story of Vladimir. So, bit of a history lesson on this. This was filmed years ago. They started filming for this, I think, in 2019. I mean, they showed footage from 2019, as well as 2020. They were going to release it a lot sooner by having them attend WrestleMania, probably doing the ceremony of what culminated the, documentary there. And then COVID hit. That added to the story. I'll get into really what this is about and whatnot and what happened and whatnot. But I'm just kind of giving a bit of a backstory here. They were supposed to release this in 2021. Now, it ends at WrestleMania 37 in 2021. Obviously, they were finishing the documentary there, but they aired the first trailer for it, I think, at WrestleMania itself, which was really cool because Vlad was at WrestleMania, which means that he must have seen the trailer for it when he was in the crowd, which is pretty crazy, when they were filming the documentary. So anyway, some stuff happened with Peacock and with the WWE original content. WWE joined Peacock right before that. So it's not like they put out the trailer before the Peacock transition. They did it after the Peacock transition, maybe like a month or two later, but they did it during that period. And they had filmed a bunch of stuff like a Lex Luger doc. I don't think we ever ended up getting the British Bulldog doc. The Luger one, they ended up turning into an Icons episode. Pretty much the same stuff. And then they also had done a WWE Untold on the Nexus that I think they had done. I don't even know if they had done a trailer for it, but they had filmed it, never released it. This was one of those things that got axed, got shelved. And we had known from Mike Johnson, who's close with Vlad, and he showed up in a picture here in the documentary, that it was finished. They finished the documentary because they put out a fucking trailer for it at WrestleMania. They just never put it out on Peacock. But for whatever reason, over 2.5 years later, it took a long time, almost 3 years later, they finally dropped it out of nowhere, both on the network and on Peacock. First on the network, then on Peacock. And it's been available now for about a week. So that's pretty cool. Finally had a chance to watch it yesterday, and it was awesome. Honestly got emotional watching it towards the end there. This guy, I've never met him myself. I've met Mike Johnson before. I've met even Charlie before, who they introduced here, and they interviewed him. I think WWE did a feature on him or a video on him 4 years ago, before WrestleMania 35. He had been to every WrestleMania. Obviously not 36 due to the circumstances, but he had been to every WrestleMania and had a ticket from every WrestleMania that he had been to because he grew up in New York and he would go to every WrestleMania every year. He's a close friend of Vlad because they had known each other through going to the shows and they lived in the same area, blah, blah, blah. So I thought that was cool, but I had never met Vlad himself. I've never met Vlad. I've seen him on TV and whatnot. I've kind of known who he is and whatnot, but it was really cool. They did a documentary about him, and not just the fact that he would attend shows and how he ended up in these seats all the times, how he ended up in these seats constantly, but also who he is as a person, where he came from, what he's up to now. And this was only up to date up to 2021. He's actually had some health issues in recent years, which is why Mike Johnson was really pushing for them to release it if it was finished, because he could pass away. Like, I forgot, maybe it was Parkinson's, actually, he was diagnosed with recently, which is terrible. And he wanted them to release it so he could watch it, and then finally they did, which is great. So they don't cover that part of it. That was only in recent years, since this was first finished in 2021. They didn't add on to it. They didn't make it, have it culminate in 2023. But anyway, so they open up the episode with Charlie, who I just mentioned, recalling a Rowdy Piper segment, bringing Vlad into the ring. And this was probably back in the 80s. At MSG at a New York show. And we hear all these talking heads like Bruce Pritchard and, people that work backstage at WWE talk about the fans and how we see the same fans in the crowd and the importance they have to the industry and stuff like that. Bruce Pritchard kind of asked the question that we were all wondering, was he part of the show? Was he a plant? Did he work for WWE? There were even theories at the time, I guess, that he was Vince's trainer, and Vlad even kind of outwardly says that's not true. I didn't work for the company. I wasn't Vince's bodyguard. I wasn't his trainer. I would just get good seats. I worked hard to pay for those tickets, and I would always be at the front of the line of the box office to get these tickets and stuff like that. I guess he kind of befriended the person who worked there, and they would kind of have their seats sectioned off, so they would always get the same seats every time, and they would get to sit together, stuff like that. They talked about him having a Haitian background. He's from Haiti, and I don't think it might have been Bruce who had said, I thought he was Russian because his name is Vladimir, but obviously not. He's from Haiti. So he talked about how he was born in Haiti. His mom brought him to the United States, and he got into wrestling soon after. He kind of fell in love with it. He met Charlie at the box office. They befriended each other, there, and they would go to all the shows together from that point forward. And the wrestlers talk about the importance of MSG, which is where Vlad would ordinarily pop up, being from the New York area. And how MSG is like the mecca of sports entertainment, and all the best shows and the biggest shows have been held there, blah, blah, blah. He would always be ringside at MSG. And the wrestlers would always say hi. Bret Hart knew who he was, Scott Hall. Hulk Hogan was on this documentary talking about Vlad, assuming he's being honest. He knows who he is, and he praised him and whatnot, which is quite the stamp of approval from Hulk Hogan, of all people, among others. He would talk about how he would hang out with other wrestlers at the bar, and they knew who he was. They showed him attending Raw at MSG on September 9th, 2019. And I remember that exactly because I was at that show as well. That was the show that had Stone Cold Steve Austin on it at MSG. And it was interesting that he was also at that show. I don't remember seeing him or whatever. I mean, I wasn't there in the front row, but had I been more familiar with Vlad at the time, I would have kept an eye out for him. But that's pretty cool they showed him at that show. They also showed him backstage at that same show with Jeff Jarrett, who worked for WWE at the time. Now, he works for AEW now. It's not like they cut him out of the documentary. They aired this exactly as it would have been in 2021. So I think even in 2021, I'm not even sure if he worked there, actually. I know he got fired during COVID, but then brought back and then got fired again. So obviously he worked there in 2019. But then COVID hit. Couldn't go to shows. He had tickets to WrestleMania in Tampa for WrestleMania 36. Had to cancel the whole trip due to COVID breaking, or, kind of happening in March of 2020. And then he had hip surgery, and he was kind of going through a rough time. His mom fell around that same period. She was like 93, I think, when they showed her gravestone. Spoiler alert, she did pass away. She was she was up there in age, because Vlad's like 60-something now. He doesn't look like it at all, but he's like 60-something now. And they talked about how his mom fell right before or during COVID, went to a nursing home, which is where they just got wiped out with COVID. Like, a lot of the older people were getting COVID because of that, and she got COVID and she passed away. She got sick. She went home, got sick, went back, and then passed away due to COVID, which is just terrible. He talked about how he's tried to commit suicide 3 times since then, because his mom was his everything, wrestling was his everything, is his everything, and he couldn't go to shows, and his mom was gone. So he actually talked about taking a sleeping pill, and thankfully it didn't work. Just crazy shit. And he said he was really emotional, talking about how he wished he had wrestling back at that point. He shows off his merchandise collection, and not just stuff that he has, but stuff that wrestlers have given him, like Bret Hart's glasses and a Hulk Hogan action figure and a Hulk Hogan shirt, stuff like that, which is crazy. And he watches a video in late 2020, probably December, I think it said, the timestamp said, of a video that was sent to him from Shawn Michaels and some other superstars. I forgot who else was in there. Definitely Shawn and a few others. Of them saying, "Hey, Vlad, we miss you. We can't wait to see you at the next show." Just kind of to cheer him up, which was really cool. And then not only that, he got tickets to WrestleMania, went to Mania in Tampa, got to go backstage. Kevin Owens walks up to him, maybe Rey Mysterio. It might have been Lindsay Dorado, but definitely Kevin Owens was one of them. Drew McIntyre was another one. They talked about how they met him, and they were really happy. They were more excited to meet him than he was to meet them, which is crazy. McIntyre and Damian Priest both met him, and they talked about, growing up watching him, which is wild, all this other sort of stuff. And then while he's backstage at Mania, Triple H and Stephanie walk up, say, offer their condolences for his mom passing away, which was nice. And they give him an honorary Superfan award with a commemorative title. And it's just this amazing plaque, kind of honoring him with his name on it as the first WWE honorary Superfan, which was really fucking cool. And you see him say to the camera, "I wish my mom was here so I could tell her I made it big time," which was really emotional hearing him say that. This is where I got emotional watching it. And he says that he misses her and he loves her. And they just kind of close it out with him, clips of him watching Mania 37 from ringside, interacting with the wrestlers and yelling to Shane McMahon and getting to shake Kevin Owens' hand, which was cool. And we hear from the wrestlers talking about the fans in general being the lifeblood of the business and whatnot. It's only a 37-minute documentary, and I wasn't sure what to expect. I've been looking forward to this for a while, but I had seen people say on Twitter, "Oh, it was disappointing, they could have done more, blah, blah, blah." I mean, could it have been longer? I mean, I guess, but they covered his real-life story, how he ended up at ringside for all these shows. There really wasn't much more to it than what we were told. And then not only that, we got to hear from him himself, and they offered the more modern-day perspective, not in recent years, but like 2019 to 2021. The Triple H moment was really cool. That was where I kind of got choked up watching this. That was great. I mean, it only really had to be 37 minutes. It wasn't like a 2-hour Cody Rhodes doc or like the Kurt Angle one, but it was excellent. It was very entertaining. It was very emotional, very well done. I wish they would do more of this sort of stuff. Their documentary team is just second to none. And listen, moreover than anything else, I'm just glad they fucking released it. It would have been just an absolute waste to have it sit there in the archives and never have it be seen and never have it see the light of day. And I guess Mike Johnson had tweeted a couple days ago. He tweeted all weekend about it, how he got to show it to Vlad because Vlad's not on social media, so he didn't even know it was up until he told him, and he got to watch it with him, and he was thanking people and whatnot. It was really cool. It was really, really cool. So, yeah, great documentary. Would definitely recommend checking it out. They did an awesome job with this. And well worth watching, either on Peacock or on Network. On the WWE Network, it's available on both, depending on where you live. I'm glad that they finally released it, and now it's time to release the Nexus documentary. If it's just sitting there and they finished it, then fucking put it up. The Luger one I get, because, again, they probably already repurposed that footage for the Icons episode, or that was for the Icons episode, for the biography one they did on A&E. I get it. The British Bulldog one, I'm not sure if they ever repurposed that footage. The Nexus one is still sitting there. Just fucking put it out. Have it go out, do it, and just air it. Just throw it up on Peacock or the network one of these days, and we can watch it and I can enjoy it, because I was a big Nexus mark back in the day. Would love to watch it. But anyway, great stuff here. Thank you for checking out my review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Have an awesome one, folks. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.